High Noon, the High Noon stream with me, Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at noon till whenever. All right, I'll wait. I'll see the chat room has not. I know, a little bit. When I say a little bit early today, what I mean is right on time. Although looking at the clock, it says 12:02, so maybe I'm a minute late. Anyway, come on. It's all right. We'll wait. I'll have a little glass of coffee. I don't know who the first person in the chat room is today. I always, my money is on Jeff Ballard. First person in the chat room today will be Jeff Ballard. Fuck! Oh! It's Byron. I almost went with Byron. It was close. It was close. Hi, Joel. Hi, Taranda. Hi, Byron. All right, people are filling in. Let's go. Come on, pull up a chair, grab yourself a cup of coffee, whatever it is you got to do. Oh, hey, I got no light. I was wondering why it was so dark in here. Put on that light. There we go. Oh, now look at me. Yeah, I look fantastic. I'm in a good mood. I don't know why I'm in a good mood. It's called mania. Yeah, it is a little bit. Knowing my mental health the way I do, this means that I will be falling into a valley probably within the next 48 to 72 hours. But that's okay. I've been doing this show for 2 years. I've done shows in a lot of valleys. I've been in a lot of valleys, so it's not like a big deal. It's just kind of the ebb and flow of what happens inside of me. But right now, man, I'm like a cokehead. Right now, I'm like, boop, boop. They're firing. I'm feeling good. See, this is what happens with me. I suffer from depression. Don't look, I'm fine. This is not about my mental health. No, just trying to explain the personality. And just before I typically fall into the blues, typically before that, I have these days where I'm just euphoric, where I'm just like, man, things are going great. I feel optimistic, and then that's followed by, nobody likes you. You are a dreamer. You should just kill yourself. And I don't listen to that guy ever. Well, I mean, that's my co-host, Schizophrenic Me. You know him. He rides shotgun on these. I don't listen to him. I don't listen. Trust me. There was a time I listened to him, and then I got into therapy, and then I realized, oh, that's just some creation of my own pessimism, and I need to throw a saddle on that bitch and make sure that he knows that I'm the boss. Ego work. Ego therapy. I'm a great believer in that. All right, so that explains my jovial mood. I hope you're also in a jovial mood. Let's see, what do we have for you today? Well, we've got all of the headlines, the hot topics, the current events, whatever it is that's happening in the world today. I try to bring it to you here at noon, Monday through Friday, what we call High Noon. This is the first of 2 streams that we do. We do one called Pugs and Parker. That comes on at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's myself and James Parker. Come on by. Enjoy that. That's more conversational. This is just, a middle-aged narcissist screaming into a YouTube camera for 2 hours a day. That's all this is. But hopefully within that, you'll find, some interesting little things. Because like I said, this show is not just me talking about whatever. This is me going through all of the things that are trending, that are making news, the headlines, all of that stuff. So, if you listen to me and not listen to me like, listen to me. I mean, if you just have the stream on in the background, you should, at the end of it, have a fairly good grasp on what's happening in the world today. The show is run via tips, at least for the next 6 weeks. And part of the reason for my mood is that I don't think that's going to go on much longer. So, we'll see. But for now, we need to revert back to the way we operated back in the first 9 months of the show, where we only do the show based on your gratuity. So if you can tip something, that'd be great. Venmo, Cash App, whatever it is, help us out. And as I always like to say, no hard feelings if you can't. Totally get it. Totally understand that. This is why I'm such a bad salesman. This is why I'm a bad salesman. You don't want to buy. You don't want to re-sign for your next year's allotment of aluminum from the aluminum mill that I represent. I can see that. No problem. Have a good see, that would be me as a sales guy. God, I can't do it. I just can't sell people something that I know they don't want or something that I don't want. Eh, I, Conversely, though, I'm also not really great at selling things I believe in. I'm terrible at selling myself, although I can hype others. I'm very good at hyping others. Should have been an agent. You know what? That's absolutely right. I should have been an agent because I can do that. I just can't do myself or really anything tangible. Anyway, point being, if you can help the show, that would be wonderful. If you can't, no problem. But if you can help the show, you got to share the show. Please, folks, please. A number of you have started sharing it since I went on my little tirade. I do appreciate it because we're trying to grow this thing. And I could not be more pleased with the people, the diehards, the first family. I mean, no matter how this show grows, you folks, and you know who you are, you will forever be members of the first family here on the High Noon Stream. So don't be threatened by new people coming in. You've got to be the ambassadors. You've got to be the people that welcome them into the chat room. You've got to be the people that silence the idiots, the ones who come in just to wreak havoc. That's the job of the first family. So if you can't tip and support the show, that's okay. Hi, Frank. Yes, you did appreciate the tip yesterday, Frank. That was very nice of you. I lost my train of thought thanking Frank. So if you can't do that, and that's fine, share the show. Help us in other ways. There are other ways that you can help with this show. All right, let's get started here. Let's begin the High Noon Show. I just hit the wrong button. I do apologize. It is high noon for the 26th day of January, year of our Lord, 2023. January 26th is the 26th day of the year. Did you know that? Yeah, of course you did, because you're smart. There are 339 days remaining until the end of the year. Let's go into some of the things. Here's how the show works. We go through the history of the day. We look back at what other things have occurred on this day, historically speaking. Then we go into some of the births. We talk about some of the people who were born on this day, and we talk about their contributions. And then we run through a list of a few people who died on this day. And, those are always the ones where we go, oh, I remember where I was when he, that kind of thing. Then, after we've gone through those three things, the history, the births, and the deaths, then it's like we take a deep breath and we go, okay, all right, so that's what this day has been historically. What is it today? And then we get into all of the trends and all the things that are shaping what today will be. So let's get started. The history of today. Starting on this day, 1564 I guess it began. 1564, the Grand Duchy of Lithuania defeats the Tsardom of Russia in the Battle of Ula during the Livonian War. Man, I'm only mentioning that because what does any of that even mean? What is the Battle of Ula? What was the Livonian? I don't even know, but it involved Lithuania beating Russia, which is kind of interesting. And on this day in 1837, all right, welcome to the party, Michigan. Michigan is admitted as the 26th state of the United States. Welcome, Michigan. Do I have any hot takes on Michigan? I love Michigan. Michigan, growing up in Chicago, Michigan is our lake cousin. We have lake cousins, and then we have border cousins. It's kind of like here if you live in Texas. Like, Texans are border cousins to Oklahoma and Louisiana, and I suppose for a very small sliver, Arkansas and maybe New Mexico. But whatever, for the most part, Texans, here's how I would say it. Texans look at Oklahoma and Louisiana much in the same way that me, being from Illinois, being from the Chicago area, the way we look at Wisconsin and Indiana. In fact, I would say that the way Chicagoans view Wisconsin is exactly the same way that Texans view Oklahoma. Fun place to visit on weekends. Don't want to live there. That's basically it. So Michigan doesn't directly border us, but we share a lake. We share the lake. They're on the other side of the lake. And if you grew up in the Chicago area in the summertime, you've probably spent many days on Michigan beaches and Michigan towns, whether it's Western Michigan or the millions of lakes that they have. Everybody's got a lake house in Michigan. Actually, that's not true. Everybody's got a lake house in Michigan or Wisconsin. Michigan a little bit farther, but that's okay. You get the nice lake drive. That's a nice drive. Michigan, welcome to the United States on this day in 1837. When you think of Michigan, what do you think of? Because that's an interesting thing. I think that most people who don't really know Michigan, when they think of Michigan, they think of Detroit. I do not think of Detroit when I think of Michigan. As a matter of fact, I like have to remind myself, oh, that's right, Detroit is in Michigan, but it's way on the other side. I think of I wouldn't call it rural Michigan, but I think of like Western Michigan, Central Michigan. Oh God, it's so beautiful. That whole part of the world is beautiful. Wisconsin, Michigan, what a Minnesota, all that stuff. And then it starts to get ugly when you get to Illinois and Indiana and Iowa. It's like, what happened? Everything was so gorgeous up there, and then just bleh. On this day in 1861, the American Civil War, the state of Louisiana secedes from the Union. Get the hell out. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Yeah, fine. Get out. Get out. 1926. 1926, the first demonstration of television by John Loogie Baird was done on this day in 1926. Television. I don't know what this means. The first demonstration of television. I mean, it wasn't like I don't know what that means. People didn't have TVs, so it wasn't like the birth of. I guess you couldn't just pinpoint the birth of television, right? Because it was a technology. It's like, okay, so it was so I guess we pinpoint it as today, the first demonstration of the television by John Loogie Baird. Imagine how shitty that was. Like, just imagine how shitty the picture was, and how all the people in the room went, "Wow, we really are in the future." Now we'd look at that first demonstration of television and go, I ain't watching that crap. I don't even know what I'm looking at. What is that a person? Black and white? I don't know. On this day in 1934, the Apollo Theater opens its doors in Harlem, New York for the first time. Look, of course I know the history of the Apollo Theater. I know basically what other people know about the Apollo Theater, historic landmark performance space in New York City where, oh my God, the people who have played there. But when I think of the Apollo Theater, I think of that show that used to come on after Saturday Night Live, Late Night at the Apollo, where the audience was like just really mean to everybody. And then they had that clown. Like if someone got up and was like, and now singing Wind Beneath My Wings, and they bring out some dude and he'd start singing and it would be terrible. And then the clown would come out. Remember the clown? He'd come out and like sweep him off the stage. I'm not gonna say I like that show because I was like, it was very rarely like but it was interesting. It was it was interesting. Happy birthday, Apollo Theater. On this day in 1945, World War II, Audie Murphy displays valor and bravery in action, for which he will later be awarded the Medal of Honor. Do we even remember Audie Murphy? Like if you were to go out on the street and you were to say, I bet I want to go up, I want to go up to one of these guys that's got one of those support the troops and thank you for your service. I want to go up to one of these guys and go, who's Audie Murphy? And like see if he can tell you who Audie Murphy is. Audie Murphy is widely considered to be the most decorated American soldier in history, the greatest hero. What was the movie? What was the movie that they made? They made a movie about Audie Murphy after he's a real Rambo, after he did his Rambo stuff. Best Years of Our Lives. That's what it was. It was Best Years of Our Lives. And it actually starred Audie Murphy. Like they went, well, it's Hollywood and we don't have any rules yet. And you're a soldier and we're telling your story. You want to play yourself? And he actually went on to have a D-list career. But people shouldn't remember Audie Murphy for the cowboy films that he made in the 1950s and all that kind of stuff. People you need to click on Audie Murphy, Google him, click on him, and then just read his bio because he's a true American hero. On this day in 1998, the Lewinsky scandal. Oh, that's right. That whole thing. It was on this day on American television. The President Bill Clinton denies having had sexual relations with former White House intern Monica Lewinsky. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Didn't he call her a woman? Wasn't that it? It was weird. It was like, because he wouldn't want to say girl. Oh, that would be bad. Oh, man. Imagine the hay Newt Gingrich would have made if he had accidentally said girl. I did not have sexual relations with that girl. Now he said woman. She said lady. Trump would have said bitch. Trump would have said, look at her. I wouldn't have sex. That's how far we've come. I never did that. Look at her. On this day in 2001. Oh God. All right. See here now we need a tonal adjustment for this one. This story sucked. This story was horrifying, man. I don't remember it being all the way back in 2001, but I guess that makes sense. I'm just getting older. I would say, when did this happen? I'd be like, oh, like 2008, 2009. Diane Whipple, a lacrosse coach, is killed in a dog attack in San Francisco. The resulting case clarified the meaning of implied malice murder. Now, do you remember this poor woman? She had bad neighbors. Oh God, bad neighbors. She man, this is like there's a couple of stories, throughout our history that we remember like this. Remember the lady in, I want to say it was like New Hampshire or some Massachusetts maybe, who went over to her friend's house and her friend had a monkey and the monkey ripped her face. Remember that lady? Okay, that's not this lady. This is the lady who was coming home from work, and she had groceries in her hand and she was fumbling at her apartment door to get her keys in. And the freaking neighbors somehow let their like two giant Rottweilers out. Like the door was open, like these neighbors were idiots, just bad dog owners. And the Rottweilers mauled her to death in her own. Oh my God. Remember this story? What a terrible, man, there are ways to die. I was talking about the other day. I was mentioning like the worst ways to die, and there's a whole bunch of them that you can list. But being mauled to death by an animal is up there. I do not. You know what's high on my list? Disintegrating in a space shuttle. That seems like, if you got to go, that seems like a pretty cool way to go, because that's instantaneous. That's just, you don't even feel anything. You're in the space shuttle, you're on re-entry, and you're like, what was that noise? And then it's over. That's it. That's fine. But being mauled to death by an animal, this poor woman. Oh God. It's interesting too, because I was talking about how last weekend I rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Spoiler alert! When Tex Watson and who's the other one? I don't know who. I don't know which Manson girl it was. One of the Tate LoBianco murderesses. When they got mauled by Brad Pitt's dog Brandy, the pit bull. Oh my God, it was so vicious. And I'm watching. I couldn't watch it. I had to fast forward through it. I do not want to see that. Woo. So on this day, Diane Whipple was mauled to death by a dog in the lobby, or not the lobby, the hallway of her San Francisco apartment. On this day in 2009, oh my God, so how old would they be? How old? Let me see. Let me try and figure this out here. 2009. I got to try and figure it out. Well, I can't do simple math. It's 14. What the hell's wrong with me? Celebrating 14 years on this earth today. And this isn't the birthday segment, but whatever. Nadia Suleiman, remember her? Better known as Octomom. Octomom gave birth to her octuplets today. They'd be 14 years old. Have we checked in on them? Do we know what's going on there? There's, what are they? 14 years old. Do you think she's rethinking wanting to have octuplets? I don't know. I have to really rethink that, because I think I had hot takes on this whole thing back then, but I don't know what my hot takes are today on this. Look, if the kids are okay, well, I guess they're 14. We don't know if they're okay. I bet you there's a lot of therapy going on there. I hope she can afford it. 8 kids is a lot. And as I recall, it's not like she came from money, but she made a lot of money being Octomom, like in the wake of she books and TV appearances and all that stuff. Why doesn't Octomom have a reality series? Or does she? She probably does. I just don't watch reality series, so I don't know. But it seems like 45 kids and counting. I mean, it seems like that's a show. That's a show, and they weren't famous first. So why wouldn't, maybe she had one. She had to have had one, right? She had to have at some point. I don't know. And on this day, another sad story on this day in 2020. I can't believe it was a Sunday, right? Wasn't it a Sunday? I think maybe it was a Saturday. I know it was over a weekend because I remember where I was. I guess I just don't remember when it was. I remember I was sitting watching TV. I was watching CNN and this broke. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, huh? This can't really be happening. So on this day in 2020, a Sikorsky S-76B flying from John Wayne Airport to Camarillo Airport crashes in Calabasas Canyon, 30 miles west of Los Angeles, killing all 9 people on board, including former 5-time NBA champion Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna Bryant. That's so weird to think about. Kobe Bryant's dead. I mean, that's just it's a hard thing. And then, it's an odd thing. It's an odd thing. 2 years ago today, I don't know if you remember where you were when you heard that Kobe Bryant had died, but I do. I remember I was sitting in a brown reclining chair staring at CNN going, what? Huh? No, this can't be. All right, let's get into some of the birthdays that occurred on this day. Some of the people who were born onto this plane of existence and made a contribution, or I suppose in some cases, took away the very soul and fiber of what we are as a people by their bad works. Douglas MacArthur. Douglas MacArthur was born on this day. Talk about an American hero. Douglas MacArthur. That old son of a bitch. Douglas MacArthur, American general, Medal of Honor recipient. Kind of crazy, a little crazy, you know. I mean, he had an obsession with the Philippines. Oh, boy, you go look into their history. Everybody was like, stop it, Doug. Stop, just leave it alone. And he's like, I shall return. And return he did. Douglas MacArthur became like the emperor of the Far East for a number of days or years. I don't know how long it lasted, but he became like the guy in charge of that entire corner of the world for a couple of years after World War II, after the Japanese fell and all that. It was Douglas MacArthur. He was like, this is my area now. And the government was like, no, it's not. You got to come back to Washington. You're being kind of a dick. And he's like, no. Oh, there's the dog. Born on this day in 1891, Frank Costello, Italian-American I'm sorry. I'm glad I read the description because I was about to go into a whole Abbott and Costello thing. But Frank Costello, okay, mob boss. He died in 1973, Frank Costello. Born on this day in 1925, the great, one of the greats, one of the all-time greats, one of my easily a top 3 all-timer for me, Paul Newman. Paul Newman. I don't know, my top 3, McQueen, Newman, Cary Grant. I put him in there. These are the all-timers. These aren't the, like, my favorite actor's currently working. So Newman's in there. So I guess we gonna have to do a Newman draft. Let's do a Paul Newman draft. Feels like we've done this before, and this might actually be different than the one I did last time, but whatever. With the first pick in the Paul Newman film draft, we are going with 1967's Cool Hand Luke. Cool Hand Luke. I'm trying to ease my kid into Paul Newman appreciation. It's difficult. It's because, entry level, you want to get a kid into knowing Paul Newman. You want to get him into, like, seeing that he's such a cool guy. He's so charming. You can't do it through ranch dressing or or spaghetti sauce, right? Although that's a nice little addendum to the mythology of Paul Newman, that he makes the world's greatest spaghetti sauce, and he does. That Saccaroni Paul Newman spaghetti sauce is my favorite. That stuff is so good. So the entry level. Well, maybe I'll save this for after the draft. I really want to watch Cool Hand Luke with my 13-year-old son. I think he would love it. I think he would think it is so fascinating. But I don't know. So we had to go. I'll tell you what the other entry level ones were, because some of them are mentioned here. Number 2 in the Paul Newman draft, we're going to go with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from 1969. Oh, is that a good movie? Number 3 from 1968, Winning. That's right, his race car movie. It's such a good race car movie. It's not as good as Steve McQueen's Le Mans, but Winning is one of the 2 or 3 best race car movies of all time. Winning, Paul Newman, 1968. Number 4 in the draft. This was this was one of the this is one of the entry level Paul Newman movies that I would want my son to see. However, we haven't gotten to this one yet, but we will. I think that this one is gonna. I don't know. I love this movie. I saw this movie for the first time when I was much younger than my son is now, and I loved it. But I also have this affection for this movie because it was my grandfather's favorite movie, and he used to always, oh, we gotta go, let's go see. And I saw it with him, and then every time it would turn up on TV, we're watching The Sting tonight. The Sting gets the number 4 pick in the Paul Newman draft. Love The Sting. Such a good movie. Another Paul Newman and Robert Redford collaboration. All right, number 5 in the Paul Newman film draft on this is birthday. He died in 2008, but it's his birthday. This is the entry level one. I was like, okay, I need my kid to appreciate Paul Newman. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Paul Newman, I'm not going to do Absence of Malice. Me and my 12-year-old aren't going to watch, some heavy drama thing that he did. We're not doing that. We're not going to do The Color of Money because, that's also a little bit too grown up. But the number 1 movie, the introductory film that I said, we're going to watch a movie. Why? Because I want you to watch a movie and I think you're going to like it. And I want you to pay particular attention to the lead character. Why? Because you love his spaghetti sauce. Okay. Slapshot, ladies and gentlemen. Slapshot. Taken in the 5th round of the Paul Newman draft. Slapshot. Paul Newman, undrafted free agents that are going to get camp invites. All right. Are you ready for this? No, all of them. All of them. He never did anything bad. Everything that Paul Newman did is worthy of a camp invite. Everything. He did nothing bad. He did everything great. Every one of his movies was watchable and enjoyable. And when you look at his filmography, that is stunning. There's not a dog in it. There is not a, oh, he took that one for the paycheck. No, everything is quality. Paul Newman celebrating a birthday today. Well, he's not celebrating. Well, he is. I mean, if you believe in the afterlife, I'm sure he's still like, hey, I know that spiritually speaking, I'm like 1 billion years old, but one of my lives, I was a movie star and this would have been my birthday. He's saying that in heaven right now. Let's see here. What else do we have? Born on this day in 1930. Is it 34? Yeah. Born on this day in 1934. Bob Uecker. Just a bit outside. Bob Uecker, legendary voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, actor. He was on Mr. Belvedere. Became a great personality. Just really funny guy. Terrible baseball player. Well, not terrible. How could he be terrible if he played in the pros for like 10 years? I don't know. He's not terrible. He was just like not good. He was like a runt catcher, but he was the most popular guy on every team he played for because he was Bob Uecker, and that personality served him well post-playing. He became an ambassador of the game, one of the most beloved figures in all of baseball. Bob Uecker, born on this day in 1934. Born on this day in 1944, the direct opposite of Bob Uecker, that would be Jerry Sandusky, American football coach and criminal. The guy who took down Joe Paterno. He did. He took down Joe Paterno. Joe Paterno, before we knew the name Jerry Sandusky, Joe Paterno was like, he's one of the greats. He's like Bear Bryant and Bo Schembechler. He is one of the all-time great coaches, and we love him. And I would trust by sending my son to Joe Paterno because Joe Paterno knows what he's doing. No, he didn't. Joe Paterno, his best friend, was a serial child molester, and it appears Joe Paterno knew about it, but loved his defensive schemes. Just absolutely. Well, if you're going to molest children, do that on your own time. And that's the problem. Jerry Sandusky wasn't doing it on his own time. Jerry Sandusky was running youth football camps that were, through Penn State and all that. And then he was doing all kinds of shit. So burn in hell, you freak show, Jerry Sandusky. And by the way, your defenses weren't all that great. Born on this day in 1946, Gene Siskel, ladies and gentlemen. Gene Siskel of Siskel and Ebert. One of America's premier film critics for a number of years. Interesting story about Gene Siskel. When I was watching, as a kid growing up, when you'd either watch sneak previews, which is what it was originally called, but then they changed it. They took ownership of the show and they called it At the Movies with Siskel and Ebert. When I was younger and I would watch those shows, I always hated Gene Siskel. I always thought, oh, this egghead, Who's this egghead think he is? And I like Roger Ebert. Then working in Chicago media, where both of these guys were constants on the shows. Like I met Roger Ebert a million times, and Gene Siskel a million times, all that kind of stuff. The reality of it is that Gene Siskel was a much nicer man than Roger Ebert. Gene Siskel was much cooler. Gene Siskel was much more decent. Roger Ebert was a bit of a... I told the story a few weeks ago about how Roger Ebert yelled at me on the phone once, like screaming at me, like because Liz Wilde, that was the show that was on our station. Wasn't 105.3, by the way. This was back in Chicago. Liz Wilde was the nighttime show, and Liz went through his garbage, and I was on the morning show. And Roger woke up and found out that they had gone through his garbage and talked about it on the air. And he called the morning show and he blamed me just because I answered the phone. He's like, "You son of a bitch!" He's like yelling at me. That's Roger Ebert. But every other time I met Roger Ebert, he was very kind of elitist, so elitist. Like didn't want, and that I know that flies in the face of that documentary. If you saw that documentary about Roger Ebert, which is very good. It's a very good documentary. But it sort of paints him as this salt of the earth guy. No, he wasn't. He hung out in like taverns and stuff, but he was very arrogant. He was very elitist. He was very, whereas Gene Siskel, who was born on this day, was just so nice. Like I always look at these things, celebrities and how they behave. I judge them through the lens of what I was at the time, which was a low-level producer. How did these people treat low-level producers? Gene Siskel's the kind of guy who asks for your name and then calls you by it and makes a point to remember it. Roger Ebert's the kind of guy who goes, "Kid, get me this," right? So it's a difference between the two people. Happy birthday to you, Gene Siskel. We lost you in 1999, and that was a real shame. Born on this day in 1950, Jack Youngblood. Oh, man, when I was a kid, Jack Youngblood was my favorite football player. Good old number 85 for the Los Angeles Rams. Jack Youngblood played alongside Jim Youngblood. Jim Youngblood, Jack Youngblood, not related. Just both had really cool names. Jack Youngblood, born on this day in 1950. Jack Youngblood played a Super Bowl with a broken leg. With a broken leg. It was broken. It was like completely broken. And it happened in like the first quarter. And he went back. It was the 70s. So they probably went back. You know, he probably had sex with a prostitute, did a bunch of cocaine, and then came back out in the second. It was as the 70s. That's how football was in the 70s. And he played the rest of the game on a broken leg. I think it's the most underrated story in the history of the NFL. I mean, the Rams lost, probably because their biggest defensive beast was playing with a broken leg. But man, he went out there and played. Just, happy birthday to you, Jack Youngblood. You're a badass. Born on this day in 1955, Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen, the great Eddie Van Halen. Died in 2020, died 2 years ago of cancer. Greatest guitar player of all time. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Certainly for my generation, the most impactful guitar player of all time. I mean, every kid of my generation that had a guitar tried to play Chandeliers, tried to play Eruption. You know, that's what I'm going to try to practice. So in that regard, certainly through my lens, the most influential guitarist of all time. But, you know, I mean, that's a hard thing to say. You know, Jeff Beck just died. People say he's the greatest of all time. Eric Clapton, people say he's Jimi Hendrix. People say he is. So, I mean, I guess it really depends. I personally think that Terry Kath of Chicago is one of the most underrated guitar players of all time. Yeah, so it all depends on, I guess, you know, it's art. It's art, right? I mean, what do you prefer? What do you like better? But Eddie Van Halen definitely in that conversation for greatest guitar player of all time. Born on this day in 1955, left us in 2020. Born on this day in 1958, Anita Baker, American singer-songwriter. I don't know anything about Anita Baker. I don't know anything about her other than she's a very talented and successful person who sings music that I hear and go, nah, I don't like that. Oh, baby, what? Yeah, I don't, you know, that's not my thing. Whatever it is, I don't even know what it is. I'm talented, successful. People like her. Good for them. Doesn't have to be for everything. Hey, Eddie Van Halen's not for everybody, right? I mean, we all have different tastes. Happy birthday to you, Anita Baker. Born on this day in 1958, American comedian, actress, and talk show host Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres, ladies and gentlemen. So remember those stories that were all coming out about Ellen DeGeneres, about how she's like totally different than the personality on the show, and people like Ellen's actually really mean, blah blah blah. And that was a thing that was going around. Well, those of you who listen to me, you know I've said this before. They're all true. They are all true. I know somebody who worked very closely on that show for 5 years, and this woman, and the friend is a girl, hates Ellen DeGeneres, absolutely despises her, calls her evil, says that she's cruel and she's mean and vindictive and all of these things behind the scenes. And then she comes on and she's like, I'm Ellen, I'm dancing, I'm Miss Happy. And it's just totally the opposite of what my friend, who I trust, who I know very well, who worked on that show for 5 years, I trust what they're saying because, consider the source. And I am. And this is a very solid source. This is not somebody who's like, Conversely, the guy who's on Chicago PD, or he's the star of Chicago PD. He's the guy with that voice. I think he's like the main guy. He's the star, Chicago PD. Yeah. Conversely, she says he's the most wonderful man in Hollywood. She says he's like the nicest, coolest. So it's not like when I say consider the source, this is not somebody who just bashes all the celebrities that they work for. No. She just says, yeah, I saw Ellen DeGeneres get somebody fired just simply because they were over her. I don't even want to tell the story. I'm not going to tell the story. I'm not going to tell the story on a stream because, I don't have the lawyers to defend against Ellen. But I've just heard that, Born on this day in 1961, Wayne Gretzky, the great one, Canadian ice hockey player and coach, Gretzky. He's greatest of all time, right? He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's the Michael Jordan of the NHL. Who's the GOAT of football? Tom Brady. God, I hate saying that. Oh my God. I hate having to give Tom Brady the label of GOAT of the NFL, but you know what? Numbers don't lie. I mean, you look at it and you go, yeah, I guess you're right. Sorry, Joe Montana. Joe Montana used to be my GOAT. And no, I can't hold on to that. It's Tom Brady. Tom Brady. Anyway, Wayne Gretzky, don't have that kind of problem with Wayne Gretzky. One, don't really care that much about NHL hockey. Two, Wayne Gretzky seems like a good dude. Three, he was really good at ice hockey. He could skate backwards and everything. Born on this day in 1961, Tom Kiefer. Tom Kiefer I saw in concert once. Now, who's Tom Kiefer? Who the hell is Tom Kiefer? Cinderella. Remember the band Cinderella? Tom Kiefer, I was at a concert and I didn't like Cinderella. Or actually, I wasn't into Cinderella. Wasn't an appreciator of Cinderella. I just thought they were like just another one of these cut and paste Hollywood Sunset Strip metal bands where all the guys look like hot girls. That's so I was dismissive because at the time of Cinderella, I was like into the Smiths and the Cure and all that kind of stuff. So I was a snob. I was an idiot snob who didn't have an open enough awareness of the world to recognize that there are all kinds of music that are good, and you shouldn't just eliminate a kind of music because I don't think that's my thing. Well, listen to it. Maybe it is your thing. I saw Cinderella open for, maybe it was David Lee Roth. I think it might have been David Lee Roth. Skyscraper tour. Remember those bright lights in your city lights, all right. I'm talking about a Yankee Rose. I think it was that tour. I think it was that David Lee Roth tour. And Cinderella opened. And I remember sitting there watching this dude, Tom Kiefer, who's celebrating a birthday today. I'm watching this guy, and I'm like, how many instruments does this guy play? Hey, and he's the singer? And oh my God, all I'm saying is that Tom Kiefer, whose birthday we're celebrating today, the singer and I guess primary dude of Cinderella, super talented, blew me away. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. Tom Kiefer. So I'll always remember that. I'm like, okay, all right, Tom Kiefer. Respect. Born on this day in 1963, kind of the opposite. Kind of the opposite of my vibe with Tom Kiefer. Born on this day in 1963, Andrew Ridgeley. We do the jitterbug. We do that was all George Michael, but he's the Oates. He is Ridgely is the Oates to George Michael's Hall. It's like, what George, were you insecure? Did you think you needed somebody else? Because you really don't need anybody else. You don't need that. Well, I just have stage fright, and Andrews, he knows how to plug in instruments and stuff, and I just know how to sing, so I cut him in for 50% of all the profits of Wham. Well, rethink that, because George Michael got out of there as quick as possible and went on to have a massive solo career. And what is Andrew Ridgely doing? You know what he's doing? He's living fat and happy off that Wham money. He's got Wham bucks. So good for you. Although I wonder if they split it. Like, would that have been a deal? Like, or was it all like, well, I'm George Michael, so I get 70. No, I bet it was 50-50. I bet you he's he's cashing jitterbug money. He's cashing jitterbug. You guys hear that? The city of Highland Park is doing some major renovations in the back greenway. And it's going to be a month of like small underground explosions and all kinds of crazy things. I think they're putting in sewers. So please, I hope that's not as distracting for you as it is for me. Andrew Ridgely, born on this day in 1963. Born on this day in 1965. Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. We don't do politics, so we'll move on. Born on this day in 1977, Vince Carter, American basketball player. God, did I see this and I went, 77? I thought Vince Carter was my age. I thought Vince Carter, born in 77? I could have babysat for Vince Carter. Well, how would that be? Yeah, 13. He could have been 4 or 5. Yeah, absolutely. I just always thought Vince, man, about a 2-year period, right? 2-year period. Vince Carter was, whoa, he was a human highlight film. He was, Vince Carter, happy birthday to you. Born on this day in 1991, Manti Te'o. You remember Manti Te'o? Manti Te'o got, I felt so bad for this dude. And now I really feel bad for him, although I don't remember the details. There was a documentary on Netflix recently about the whole Manti Te'o situation. He was the Notre Dame All-American linebacker whose mother died, or grandma died, and then his girlfriend died on the exact same day. And, NBC and the publicity machine behind Notre Dame decided to use this to sort of mythologize Manti Te'o as this amazing human who was, pushing through as a football player in the wake of all of these personal tragedies and all that. And then it turned out that he didn't actually have a girlfriend, that he didn't have, but it wasn't his fault. He got catfished. And everybody was so mean to Manti Te'o. Look, he really did mourn the loss. He really was upset. He was having a long-distance relationship with somebody that he thought he had met. He thought he met this person, and then they connected online, and he was in South Bend, Indiana, playing football, and this girl was in Southern California, San Diego or something, or maybe back in Hawaii, I'm not sure. And he did what a lot of young people of his generation did. He had one of these long-distance relationships. He had an emotional connection to this person. They spoke on the phone. They chatted late into the night, all of these kinds of things. And it turns out that this person was just some dude that Manti Te'o went to high school with or something. Some dude who was gay for Manti Te'o. And Manti Te'o didn't, he didn't suspect anything. He thought it was a chick he was talking to. He thought it was this girl. They said he saw pictures. She had a Facebook page. He was active on that. She had friends on the Facebook. Crazy. There's a Netflix documentary about this whole situation. And it's just, if you were one of those people who made fun of Manti Te'o back then, you're an asshole. You're an asshole. If you watch this and don't feel bad, I did. Because I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I made a whole bunch of jokes. I was like, man, and when you see this story and how it played out, it's like, shit. Because he really was more, everything that they said that he did about stifling his emotions and funneling it into playing some of the best football of his career, that's all true. He wasn't involved in it. His grandma legitimately died. His grandmother, who raised him, was a very big part of his life, died. And then the same day, the person who was catfishing him decided to kill off the character too. That was real to him. That wasn't he wasn't like, oh, okay, I guess this little sham is over. No, he believed that this woman that he was falling in love with had just suddenly died hours after his grandma died. I mean, come on. Manti Teo, I hope you're having a happy birthday. Born on this day in 1991. Born on this day in 1992. Somebody who I have no idea what she does, but I saw an interview with her once and I went, that chick is cool. I like that chick. Sasha Banks. She's a wrestler, right? She's a female wrestler. Sasha Banks, American wrestler. Don't even know how I'm familiar with her. I just know that name. I go, oh, that chick's cool. I remember I saw an interview. I don't know what it was on. I don't know. It wasn't like a Tonight. It was like a long, in-depth interview, like a one-on-one kind of thing. And she just came off really good. I just remember thinking, man, that chick's cool. That's a cool girl. Sasha Banks, happy birthday to you, 1992. Some deaths. Let's go through some of these deaths today, huh? Abner Doubleday, inventor of baseball. Sort of. Abner Doubleday died on this day in 1893. He's widely credited with inventing baseball, although, real baseball historians are like, no. They were playing baseball in the Civil War. Baseball is a sport that originated from British soldiers who brought cricket to America. It's based on cricket. It's just they changed it, and over time, Americans, we dumbed it down. Or we made it better because I don't know what the hell's going on when I watch a cricket thing. I'm like, what is this? What are they trying to do here? Why are they all wearing white? Everybody's in white. Can't tell the difference between the team. I have no idea what's going on with European sports. It just seemed completely lopsided compared to what we have here in America. But whatever. Fun fact history is going to always remember Abner Doubleday, who died on this day in 1893 as the creator of American baseball. You don't have to say American baseball, right? It's just baseball because there is no, I guess there's Korean baseball and Japanese baseball, but those are just to denote the specific geographical area where the sport of baseball is played. But it's an American sport. I'm not giving that up. Dead on this day in 1962, Lucky Luciano. Lucky Luciano died on this day. Charlie Lucky. He is Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky. This is an interesting guy. This is a great story. Lucky Luciano he basically brought all of the warring factions of the New York and what we now know as the Five Families together under one thing called the Commission. And they set up basically all the bosses of all the families started to have regular meetings to make sure that, they all got their areas. Nobody's supposed to encroach on anybody's area. They're not going to have any street wars because that brings heat and then that's bad for business. So it was Charlie Lucky Luciano who actually first looked at organized crime, especially in New York, as being a business that should be run like a business where they violate laws. I guess you can say that about just about any business though. So anyway, Lucky Luciano, they deported him. They wanted him out. They were like, you got to get out of the country. You're no longer an American. We're sending you back to Sicily. And then World War II happened. And Patton needed to land his troops in Sicily. He wanted to come in. He wanted to come up the boot of Italy and fight the Nazis through Sicily. He was in North Africa. He had been fighting Rommel in the desert, and now it was time to move forward. Defeated Rommel. Now he's going to move into Sicily. But the problem with Sicily was that it was because Italy had fallen under Mussolini. One of Mussolini's biggest targets was the Italian mafia. And the Italian mafia at that point was based in Sicily. And Lucky Luciano was a big player in the Sicilian mafia. And so it was Lucky Luciano who was approached by the United States government. After they deported him, they're like, get out, you son of a bitch. It was Lucky Luciano who was approached by the American government who said, hey, look, we're going to land all these troops and we're going to come in through Sicily, and we need all of your gangsters. We need all of your thugs and all of your whatever. We need you guys to make sure that the ports are clear when we land. The invasion of Sicily, one of Patton's greatest moves, the invasion of Sicily was done and was successful because of Lucky Luciano. And then after that, in service to the country, he was allowed back in America. They were like, come on back. Come back. Ladies and gentlemen, American hero and gangster, Lucky Luciano. Not enough about what Lucky Luciano did for the American invading forces in World War II is talked about. And it should be, because we like the mythology of him being just a bad gangsters are bad. People are complicated. And he loved America. He was very pro-America. He was kicked out of this country, you know? He had to go sit there in Italy. And he's like, all right, I'm really freaking powerful. I'm really powerful here and all the other So anyway, Lucky Luciano. He died on this day in 1962. Dead on this day in 2001, Al McGuire. Al McGuire, for me growing up in the 1970s and 80s, Al McGuire was the voice of college basketball. I know that you say, oh, well, Dick Vitale. And before Dick Vitale, there was Al McGuire. There was Al McGuire, the screaming former coach of Marquette University, won a national championship there, and then quit. He's like, yeah, I can't repeat it this, so I'm going to go into TV. And he became the voice of college basketball in America for, well, right up around until the time of the ascension of Dick Vitale, who is now the voice of basketball, at least in my opinion. Dead on this day in 2016. 2016, we lost Abe Vigoda. Boom, 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 boom. Barney Miller theme. That's what I'm doing. He was Fish. Abe Vigoda was Fish on Barney Miller. Abe Vigoda was also, was he Clemenza? No, he wasn't Clemenza. Clemenza sleeps. No, he wasn't. He was, what was his name? What was his name in The Godfather? Come on, you guys know it. Anyway, Abe Vigoda was in The Godfather. He played Fish on Barney Miller. Then he had his own spinoff, Fish. The crazy thing about Abe Vigoda is, do you know that he was like 40 when he played Fish, the old man? Abe Vigoda looked 80 years old when he was 30, which is why it was so stunning that he lived all the way until 2016. From my judgment as a kid, knowing who Abe Vigoda was, I'd be like, yeah, he probably died in like 89, 90, something like that. No! The dude, Abe Vigoda was a good 25 years younger than everybody thought he was. Kind of a rough life is that. And then in 2020, of course, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant died on this day in 2020. Okay, how are we feeling? We feel good. We feel all prepped up. We know what happened on this day. We've gone through the history. We've gone through the birthdays. We've gone through the passings. Let's talk about what's trending. All right. A little sip of coffee for me. Half Moon Bay is trending again. We're getting more information here about the shooter in the Half Moon Bay farming massacre, right? Yeah, again, like this is 2.0 elderly Chinese guy killing people. We had the Monterey Park shooting, and then like a day later, we get this guy up there in Northern California, just outside of San Francisco. He just kills a whole bunch of people that he worked with at two different locations, a mushroom farm and then a trucking place. Turned himself in. He's in custody. So, we're going to find out what this whack job has to say about it all. But we are learning some more. Excuse me. Hold on. Why is this not connecting? There we go. Excuse me. That coffee went down. Half Moon Bay shooting suspect charged with 7 counts of murder. And now we're starting to get a little bit of information about why he did it. Here's why he did it, you guys. He felt disrespected. Dude, don't disrespect me. I'm going to disrespect. That's an ego play, man. Your ego determines whether or not you feel disrespected or not. And if your ego is constantly, trying to rise up because I've been disrespected, your ego controls you and you're a bitch. That's exactly disrespected. That's a construct. What is respect? First of all, you earn respect, right? You don't just blatantly, you respect everyone's rights as fellow human beings to exist in this civilized society. But on a one-on-one basis, I don't have to respect you. Okay. Now, if I disrespect you, what does that mean? I don't pay you no mind. Oh, does that hurt you? Oh, are you hurt? Oh, I don't like you, and you don't like that I don't like you, so you feel disrespected. See, that is such an infantile emotional response. Northern California prosecutors filed 7 murder charges Wednesday against the man accused of gunning down farm workers in the quaint oceanside town of Half Moon Bay. Prosecutors also filed an attempted murder charge against the suspect, who allegedly said he believed he had been disrespected by the victims of Monday's shooting. We're also learning that this wasn't random. This wasn't like he just shows up and he's like, I hate you all. No, he walked past people. He asked people where individuals were. He wasn't just shooting anybody. He was specifically shooting people he had beef with. Also, there's a crazy story about a roommate of his, a former roommate, is now talking. And the roommate said that he almost got killed by him because he had been fired or wasn't getting shifts at the place that they worked together. Now, I don't know that the place in question is where the murders took place. I don't know, may have been a different farm. He was like a migrant farmer guy. He was like a picker of stuff. And he got laid off or he was causing problems, so the boss wasn't scheduling him to come in, and he blamed his coworker. He blamed his coworker because he said the coworker slash roommate says he confronted me and told me that I had to get him his job back. And I don't have that kind of power. I can go and say, hey, you should give him his job, but I don't have his job back. And when I told him that I didn't have any authority to give him his job back, apparently he went nuts and tried to kill him right there until another roommate burst into the room and whatever. So he's a nutbag. The San Mateo County Coroner's Office has named 6 of the 7 victims. Oh my God, look at these ages. Oh my God. Many of them are difficult Chinese names, so bear with me. Zhizhen Liu, 73. Marciano Martinez Jimenez, 50. Aijing Zhang, 74. Guizhang Cheng, 67. Jingzi Liu, 64. And Yedao Bing, 43. These are the victims. These are all old people. These are all, with the exception of, maybe the 43-year-old. But they're all like older people that he had beef with. And so he went one by one and just gink. We have not had in San Mateo, blah, blah, blah. Hold on, let's see what else. Is there anything new here? Yeah. Okay. So there we go. That's the update. So it's targeted. So here now we know we've targeted, not random. And all of the people were people that he felt disrespected by. We're going to learn more because he's alive, and we'll see what he has to say about all this. Alex Murdaugh is trending. Alex Murdaugh, we talked about on the overnight show back when this story was first percolating. And again, I can direct you to Netflix. There is a really, really interesting documentary that breaks down all of what we're dealing with here now with this Alex Murdaugh trial. Alex Murdaugh is the guy in, is it South Carolina? Yeah, South Carolina. Alex Murdaugh was a prominent South Carolina attorney. He owned a law firm or operated his family's law firm. His family is even more prominent. His family is like the family of this area, the Low Country, I think they call it. Dating all the way back to the Revolution, right? Dating the Murdaugh family have been like basically in charge of this. So he's a rich guy in a fairly rural area, powerful family. We see this depicted in a lot of movies, where like Roadhouse, there's like the one rich family and they're evil, whatever. So that's kind of what the Murdaughs were. And he just killed a bunch of people. He was a drug addict. He tried to I don't even know where to begin. Where do you begin with the Alex Murdaugh story? So he's on trial for murdering his wife and son. That's. I'll just read it, and then we'll see what we discover here. After 19 months of speculation, prosecutors finally laid out their evidence Wednesday that Alex Murdaugh killed his wife and son as they opened the double murder trial for the disgraced South Carolina attorney. A whole bunch. There's just mayhem surrounding this dude for years, and they're finally putting it all together and going, oh, this guy's like killed a whole bunch of people. Well, they're getting him for the murder of his wife and son. His wife and son were murdered on his property in the stables. They're horse people, don't you know? His wife, who they're saying he was trying to get a divorce from her anyway, he was looking to exit the family. The wife was murdered and the son was murdered. Now, the son, interestingly enough, was about to face charges for the deaths of a bunch of his friends. The son who was murdered like a year earlier had been out partying with his friends on a boat, and they ran into a bridge, and like couple people died. Maybe just the girl. Maybe, I don't know. Again, I don't know why I can't remember the details of this Netflix documentary. 'Cause you're getting old. I'm like, maybe that has to do with it. But anyway, so the kid was sketchy as hell. And they also think that the kid killed somebody else, this local gay kid who they went to high school with, who was found dead in the road, hit by a car, and the police never followed up on it because, well, he just got hit by a drunk driver. They never looked into it. And then, like, retroactively, all these people did look into it, and they're like, yeah, he was killed by the Murdoch truck. He was killed. Someone driving that Murdoch truck ran this kid over in the road. Anyway, bunch of bodies throughout this family. The family is just littered with craziness. They had a housekeeper who mysteriously died in their mansion. She fell down the steps when Alex was the only one there. She fell down the steps, broke her neck. But they're getting him for the wife and the son that were murdered. It looked like execution style, all this kind of stuff. After 19 months of speculation, prosecutors finally laid out their evidence Wednesday that Alex Murdaugh killed his wife and son as they opened the double murder trial for the disgraced South Carolina attorney. And I haven't even told you about how he tried to have himself murdered, and that, God, this story is crazy. So he saw everything going to shit. And he decided that, I've got a really good insurance policy, and I've got one good son left. That was basically the way he looked at it. He had one son he wanted to leave him something. So he thought, look, I'm not going to go to jail for this. And I've apparently, he was a drug addict too. By the way, I left that out. He loved his cocaine and his crystal meth. He crazy for the drugs and the meth. He decided, well, my life's kind of spiraling out of control, and I'm not going to leave everything. I'm going to take everything. Maybe if I get myself an insurance policy, a life insurance policy, and then I'll pay somebody to kill me. And then my son, the good one, will get the policy, the insurance policy. And so that'll be all right. Well, that all went haywire because he hired some idiot local dirtbag to do it instead of going for the professional. And anyway, it didn't work. It whatever. It was embarrassing. And then the police. He got shot while changing a tire on a rural road, but he didn't die. And then police caught the guy who shot him. Like they were like, yeah, okay, well, we'll catch him. And they caught the guy who shot him. And they said, you're being arrested for shooting Alex Murdaugh. And he's like, wait a second, I got a story for you. And here's the checks to prove it. He paid me to do that. So it's just crazy. And the trial started yesterday. Follow it if you want. Crazy. Here's what I would say. Watch the Netflix documentary. Just go to Netflix. I don't know what it's called. I think maybe Low Country it's called or something like that. Just go to Netflix, go into the search, and just put Alex Murdaugh. Just put Alex Murdaugh. It'll come up. It'll be the first thing. Before you get even the ALE, it'll come up. You'll see it right there. And you'll be like, oh, there's the documentary Pugs was talking about. Harry and the Royals are trending. Harry and the Royals are trending because apparently royal family might make temporary reconciliation with Prince Harry for King Charles's important coronation. That's the big question. Is Harry and Meghan going to be at King Chuck's coronation? The royal family hates him. He's got this new book out called Spare. So, I told you guys, I like to watch, because I'm weird, I like to watch British morning shows. Like I like to watch the equivalent of what the Today Show or Good Morning America. Literally, the show is called Good Morning Britain. So why didn't I just use the Good Morning America analogy? I don't know. So I like to watch Good Morning Britain at night before I go to bed because it's morning there and their morning shows are starting. And I like to lay there and watch. And I'm just interested. I'm interested learning, the world through their lens, through the way they look at American politics and the things that they have to say. Anyway, obviously the big story on all these shows for a good year now has been Harry and Meghan. Everything is Harry and Meghan. And they make it seem like They really do. They make it seem like we here in America are obsessed and furious with Harry and Meghan, that we hate Harry and Meghan here in America, and oh, the Americans want them out of their country. No, we don't. It's like, what? We don't even think about them. We really? So if you watch these British shows, they make it seem like the whole world hates them. I'm like, I don't think that's true. I don't think the whole world even, no, the average person here doesn't really have an opinion on Harry, and we don't care. They're not our people. We don't subscribe to that silliness that some people are just genetically ordained by God to be better than the rest. That's bullshit. That's crazy English shit. You people obsess on it. We don't. We're like, whatever. I liked her in Suits. He seems nice. That's kind of the American hot take on Harry and Meghan. We don't give a shit. So anyway, it's a big deal about what's going to happen with the coronation because, of course, Harry being Charles's son, he's taking a step back from his royal duties and all that stuff. Calling a truce. There's a chance Prince Harry may reunite with his relatives for King Charles III's upcoming coronation, which is set to take place on Sunday, May the 6th. I suspect that there are some efforts going on to try and make some form of reconciliation. I think because they don't want family tensions to upstage what's going on that very important day. This, according to royal expert Jonathan Sacerdote. Imagine that's your job. Your job at Jonathan Sacerdote. I'm a royal expert. Well, I guess that's a job description over there in the UK. Not really here. Despite the estranged Duke of Sussex's brutal betrayal of his family members in his recently released memoir, Spare. So there you go. That's why Harry is trending. Because they're thinking maybe. Here's a fun one. Did you see this story trending? Fake student. A 29-year-old woman went to high school and she got caught. She's a 29-year-old woman just enrolled in high school. It's okay. I can't blame her. I mean, if I could pull it off, I might like to go back to high school for a couple weeks just to see what the whole scene's about. Hey, young kids, or what, I mean, but I don't have the looks for it. This 29-year-old woman, apparently she could pull it off. She goes back to high school and she only lasted like 4 days before she got busted. And how she got busted is just, if you thought, I'll tell you what, I won't spoil it. I will leave how she got busted for the end of the explanation. Woman, 29, is charged with posing as high school student and attending classes. An adult woman has been accused of impersonating a minor and fraudulently enrolling as a student in a New Jersey high school. Her name is Hai-Jung Shin. Hai-Jung Shin, 29, was arrested last week after attending classes at New Brunswick High School for 4 days before her true age was discovered. This, according to officials at the school. This is I don't know what that is. Hai-Jung Shin. That sounds Chinese. I don't know. It sounds Chinese. It's not Japanese. It sounds Chinese. When I was in high school, there was a dude named Tran, or I think we called him Tron. There was a dude who went to high school with us, and he was in my grade. He was in my class, and he was from Vietnam. And for whatever reason, he was like 18. we were like 13, and he was a freshman, and he was like 18, and he was mysterious. He spoke broken English, and he was built like a brick shithouse, man. This dude was like 5'5" and built like a fire plug. And I don't know how he was like 18. Well, I guess because he was an immigrant, they had to start him at what his level of education was. But it's weird. It was so weird. It was like, that dude's like a grown ass man. that dude. I don't want to play dodgeball against Trent. He's like a grown ass man. He's gonna kill me. I'm 13. So anyway, that was just my little story. So maybe she was doing that. Maybe she was just like an immigrant from a third world country and she didn't have basic education, but probably not. The purpose of the alleged deception remains unclear, but students at the school expressed shock and fear upon learning the truth about their new classmate. Oh, what a shock! What? The kids today. Anything that'll get them a little bit of attention. Oh, do you feel shock? Are you frightened by the revelation that for 4 days there was a 29-year-old walking around like the quiet girl in class? What that really I'm scared. I'm scared of this. I'm the 15-year-old American teenager and it's just really scary. Stop it. Stop it. You're not scared. You didn't even know. Here's what your reaction should be. That's weird. That should be your reaction. That's it. Not I need therapy. Why won't the school district offer us therapy? Right? That's what we're getting. Some of the students even told CBS that they got text messages from the woman asking to hang out, making them fear that she had ill designs. I'm scared. She sent me a text. She wanted to be friends, and I didn't respond to her because she was the weird new girl. But I'm scared now because what if she was thinking of doing something bad? So just stop it. This is a great story. This is a cool story that you're going to have for the rest of your life. Hey, remember in high school when that old chick showed up? That's your story. That's it. You got a good story. You don't have to be frightened. Doesn't have to change your whole worldview. I'm a victim now. I'm a victim. A 29-year-old woman was in my PE class. She saw me in the showers. Some of the girls I know, the girl did ask them to hang out, but they never showed up, and she started acting weird with them. Okay, so new girl is like, come on, let's hang out. And then they're like, oh, sure, meet us at this place. And then they don't show up. But now they're the victims, right? They're mean girls, new girl just looking for friends. I mean, there are multiple ways to look at this. Is she batshit crazy? A little bit. But necessarily evil? No, I don't think so. However, let's not kid ourselves. It would be different if it was a 29-year-old dude, right? If it was a 29-year-old dude who's like back in high school, I'm the best guy on the football team. That whole thing. I'm dating cheerleaders. That would be weird. That would be weird, and I could see this. This is a 29-year-old little Chinese girl who's like 5'5", 80 pounds. She's little. Look, I'll show you a picture of her. It's like, stop it. She wasn't gonna kill anybody. She just wanted to go. Maybe she's writing something. Maybe this is, maybe she's got a YouTube channel. She was gonna do like a whole YouTube, Instagram thing. I don't know. Some of the girls I know, we already did that. Oh, and now I'm looking at pictures of students standing in front of the school board, pleading with them to do something. Do something for me. I'm 17. And I was in gym class with a 29-year-old. Let's see what else we have. Continue reading? Yes, please. New Brunswick Public School District Superintendent Aubrey Johnson said at a school board meeting. Hold on, we need to take a quick break. Hold on, I need to get the dog. Hold on, please. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm concerned about something happening right now. Be right back. Hey, come here, baby. Come here, look. Is that you? Oh my God, I panicked. I thought the pool got shut up. All right, no problem. No problem. We got it handled, folks. We got it. Sorry. I thought someone came into the yard and the dog was on patrol, and that would not be good. That would not be good. All right, let's get back to this crazy story. I love this story. And remember, I still haven't told you how she got caught. She got caught in just like the best way. New Brunswick Public School District Superintendent Aubrey Johnson said at a school board meeting that Shin attended several classes for 4 days before the scheme unraveled. By filing false documents as an adult female posing as a student, she was able to be enrolled in our high school, Johnson said at a meeting. Shin was charged with one count of providing a false government document with the intent to verify one's identity. That doesn't seem like much of a charge. But much of the case remains unclear, including the date of Shin's arrest and her current custody status. She attended at least 3 classes, and several students spoke out about interactions they'd had with Shin during her fraudulent enrollment. I was in a class with this woman and I talked to her. I walked from point A to point B with her and never expected this to happen. One student, Tatiana, tearfully told New Brunswick Today. Tearfully. I had to walk down a hall with her and she was 29. Oh man, we are all so overdramatic. And then she goes on to say, not knowing that she was 29 years old makes me question how safe I am in this building. Literally a quote. As a quote from this little kid, this child, this 15-year-old. Not knowing that she was 29 years old makes me question how safe I am in this building. How safe am I in this building? Not very. You're attending an American public school in the year 2023. You are not safe at all. And let me tell you, on the list of things that you need to be concerned about, a 29-year-old posing as a 15-year-old is way down that list, sweetie. Way down that list. You got some creepy ass history teachers who might be flirting with you in the coming years. You've always got the specter of a school shooting. You've got all kinds of things to be considered. You've got diseases being passed among your grubby little classmates. You've got all kinds of things to make you feel like you're not entirely safe in that building. But being in class with a 29-year-old who you think is 15 is probably not in the top 10. I was in class with this woman and I talked to her. She says, she goes on to say, I was going to give her my phone number. I feel so taken advantage of. Literal quote. As a quote from the story. Was going to give her the phone number. Didn't. Was gonna. And because if I had, she might have taken advantage of me, but she didn't because I didn't give her the number. But I'm still just going to manifest those feelings that I've been abused or victimized somehow. I don't feel safe. You know what? Look, half the dudes you're going to date in high school, you should not feel safe with. So stop it. Stop it. All right, now the fun part. This is how she got caught. You know how she got caught? She got caught because she had a meeting. She had set up she's also 29. She probably had to meet with her insurance agent or maybe a mortgage broker or something. She had a meeting in the middle of the school day when she was in class. So she just excused herself from the class, went down to the principal's office and attempted to sign herself out. And when they said, you're a 15-year-old student, you can't just sign yourself out of school, she said, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm 29. I got to go. That's how she got caught. She just totally, it's like, yeah, this is inconvenient for me right now. I've got to have a meeting with my oncologist or whatever, I've got to have a meeting at a Starbucks with an estate planner. So I'm going to need to leave fourth period history class. You can't do that. You're a 15-year-old kid. Yeah, about that. I'm actually 29 years old, so I'm going to be going. That's how she got caught. Oh, I love this story. Fake student. That's why it's trending. Brett Favre is trending. Why is Brett Favre trending? Brett Favre is trending because, this Mississippi fraud case that he's involved in doesn't seem to be going away. And now a whole bunch of politicians, oh boy, never put it past a politician to make hay out of somebody, especially if their name gets clicks. Politicians now, on both sides, Republican and Democratic Mississippi politicians are not. They want to hang Brett Favre. Mississippi auditor calls Brett Favre's welfare scandal the largest public fraud case in the history of the state of Mississippi. I mean, that's like, what? But it's Mississippi. What's second? What's the second biggest fraud case in Mississippi, right? Some fishing tournament with weights and what I mean? Like, what is the second biggest fraud in Mississippi? All I'm saying is, and God love you, Mississippi, but you're not exactly killing it. Mississippi auditor Shad White called the NFL Hall of Famer Brett Favre's alleged welfare scandal the largest public fraud case in the history of the state. Favre came into heavy water after the state of Mississippi discovered more than $70 million in welfare funds were misused by his organization. The former head of Mississippi's Department of Human Services, John Davis, has pled guilty to fraud and conspiracy charges. Favre was tied into the case after approximately $4 million in those funds went into building a volleyball center at his alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi. Favre's daughter was a volleyball player at the school when it was built. White was a guest on the HBO show Real Sports with correspondent David Scott, where he commented on the scope of the investigation. Here's what he said. What I can tell you is that this is the largest public fraud case in the history of the state of Mississippi. Scott asked the auditor if he had any idea what kind of case he had been waiting, what kind of case he had waiting for him when he was selected to investigate the misuse of welfare funds. And White answered, no, absolutely not. He also told Real Sports that more than $100 million from the welfare fund was misused by government officials who were helping their friends instead. The folks who were making the spending decisions were acting as if there were no consequences here, White added. So there you have it. So a whole bunch of money, allotted for Brett Favre's foundation, and other people were involved, but Brett Favre is just the name and the reason it's trending. A whole bunch of money that was allotted for his foundation, which was supposed to be, we help people. Apparently that's not at all what they do. They just get all this money, and then, Brett Favre's daughter comes home over Thanksgiving and goes, I love playing volleyball, but our facilities suck. And Brett Favre goes, well, how about if I just build you a volleyball coliseum? It's like, how can you going to pay for that yourself? And he's like, well, I got the fund. So it was money that was intended to go to the betterment of the community. They were designed to help people, maybe establish programs for underprivileged kids, all of those kinds of things. And he spent $4 million on a volleyball court. Better be a nice volleyball court. $4 million? Are you kidding me? Speaking of NFL quarterbacks making news, our very own Dak Prescott is making news. Dak Prescott. Oh, boy. Poor Dak. Dak seems like such a good dude. Dak has been taking a beating. Dak sucks. Whatever. Okay. Yeah. All right. Fine. You greedy quarterback football fan. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Let's get rid of Dak. Okay, you go, Cowboys. Let's get rid of Dak. Let's let him go off. Let's see let's see if anybody else wants Dak, because I can promise you somebody else wants Dak. And then what? You go to the quarterback tree, are you? And you're gonna pick off another Troy Aikman from the quarterback tree? There are a few teams that can do that. And honestly, if I'm thinking historically, the Cowboys might be one of those teams. I mean, we're talking about a franchise with a number of historic quarterbacks. I mean, Don Meredith, Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman. Dude, they even turned Tony Romo into like a decent and sought-after NFL quarterback for a period of time. And then Dak, they pulled Dak out of the trench rounds of the NFL draft, and he turns out to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league and successful, regular season successful, I suppose you make that distinction. There's nothing better. You're not going to get anything better than Dak Prescott. Maybe you figure out a way to trade with the Ravens. Maybe you get Lamar Jackson. Would I rather have Lamar Jackson than Dak Prescott? I think so. I think that might be a trade up. But no matter what Lamar Jackson and his people are saying, I just can't imagine the Ravens letting go of Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's crazy. Dude's in his prime. I don't know. Just Cowboy fans are nuts. You just bear with him, man. Bear with him. He's Look, speaking as a Chicago Bear fan, I'll say it again. We haven't had a decent quarterback since 1949. They don't just grow on trees. They really don't. But Dak is trending for a different reason. He's making some life changes. Apparently, Dak has broken up with his girlfriend. Let's see here. Days after the Cowboys suffered a divisional round playoff loss to the 49ers, it was revealed that Prescott and his girlfriend of 2 years, Natalie Buffet. Is it Buffet or Buffett? If she's from Texas, it's Buffett. But, if she's from somewhere else, it's probably Buffet. Natalie Buffet. I'm going to call her Buffet. Natalie Buffet, they've broken up. The twosome, who were first linked together in 2020, said to have split Prescott's been casually. Oh, and he's out there dating again. Okay, so good. Making some life changes. I'm free. He's on the market. Buffet, who frequently posted Instagram photos of herself and Prescott throughout their relationship, had supported the quarterback. She sported a Cowboys Make Better Lovers jacket during a Dallas win back in 2021. Months later, as Prescott enjoyed the offseason in early 22, he celebrated Buffet's 25th birthday aboard a yacht. Of course he did, because that's the life. You ever seen Dak's girlfriend? I've never seen Dak's. I don't really care about. I just assume that all of these dudes, if you're a professional athlete, it doesn't matter what it is. You got a hot girlfriend. Even dudes in the minor leagues, like minor league baseball players, they all have like super hot girlfriends because, it's an investment. I guess for the super hot, it's an investment that, might get the call up to the big show. I always feel bad for like the smoke show girl who ends up with the guy who's like the career minor leaguer, and it's like, I wish you were better because I really should be in, the family section at Yankee Stadium cheering for you during a World Series game. Instead, I'm sitting down here in Tulsa watching you play for your third team in 4 years. All right, let's take a look at Brett's. Where can I? There we go. All right. This is Natalie Buffet. Who's this guy? See, who's this weirdo? We got somebody in the chat room doing shit? Probably. All right, let's look at Natalie Buffet. Look at her. Oh, man. Dak. Well, when you're Dak, you could probably upgrade, Although I don't know how you upgrade much. It's like you got a Lamborghini. How much nicer is the Bugatti, or whatever it is? It's, there she is. That's Dak's girlfriend, Natalie Buffet. Good looking woman. No surprise, though. No surprise. He's Dak Prescott. What do you think he's going to be with? Actually, I'm not going to say it. I was going to make some. I did know one professional football player who did not date that kind of woman. He dated, flat out. He used to openly say he likes non-traditional ladies, and the rest of us would go, "You mean ugly girls? You're hot for ugly girls? Is that what it is?" Well, maybe. So not all of them. Oftentimes you'll see linemen, with like women that you're like, "Oh, you didn't think you were going pro, did you? Because you put a ring on her finger before you got drafted." And yeah, but hey, love is love, man. Love. What am I? What am I? Some shallow asshole? Yeah, but love is love. You fall in love with somebody, it doesn't matter. They don't have to adhere to what we believe to be a societal determination of beauty. It doesn't have to be that way. What else do we have here? Oh, another kind of quarterback story that is trending. This is not a sports show, so don't get it twisted. Nathaniel Hackett's on the move. Nathaniel Hackett fired his head coach of the Denver Broncos a while back. Nathaniel Hackett is on the move. He's been hired by the New York Jets to be their new offensive coordinator. Why is this a story that I'm talking about? Well, because it kind of affects Aaron Rodgers, who I can't stand. He is my least favorite professional athlete of all time. And not just because he's the quarterback of the Packers. He's just a douche. He's just an arrogant, entitled douche. And you know what? That's what they're saying. Nathaniel Hackett is going to the New York Jets to be the offensive coordinator. Nathaniel Hackett is Aaron Rodgers' favorite offensive coordinator of his entire career. He has sung the praises of Nathaniel Hackett over and over again. When asked last year, just before Nathaniel Hackett was hired by the Denver Broncos, Aaron Rodgers was asked about what he thought the future of Nathaniel Hackett. Whoa, that was a burp. I'm sorry. What he thought the future of Nathaniel Hackett was with the Green Bay Packers. And Aaron Rodgers said, I don't know. Hopefully he stays here, or I'll go wherever he goes. And then that didn't bear out to be true, because Nathaniel Hackett then, like days later, signed with the Denver Broncos to be their head coach. And then Aaron Rodgers resigned for a year with the Packers. But, we're back into the Aaron Rodgers season. It's Tom Brady season. It's Aaron Rodgers. What's he going to do? I can understand why Aaron Rodgers wouldn't want to make the jump to the Denver Broncos with Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach, because the head coach job is much different than the offensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers likes Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator because that's his guy. That's like his personal coach. The head coach has to be everybody's personal coach. So this has led to a lot of speculation that this is essentially just a ploy by the New York Jets to lure Aaron Rodgers to New York in free agency, which I just hope happens for so many reasons. The two most prominent reasons: one, get him out of Green Bay. No matter how much I hate him, it's undeniable that he has had the greatest games of his career against my Chicago Bears. He owns us. He owns us. He humiliates us. He slaps us around. He needs to go. We just need to be done with it. So that's reason one. I want him out of there. And I don't fear Jordan Love. Jordan Love is the backup quarterback. I don't fear the Jordan Love era of Green Bay Packers football. So let's get Aaron Rodgers out of here for that reason. For the other reason, it's New York. I want Aaron Rodgers to go to New York. I want that smug bitch boy who only gives these thoughtful, long-form conversations where he offers his Aaron Rodgers hot takes. I want to friendly people. You know, look, I love Pat McAfee, but let's be honest. When Pat McAfee has Aaron Rodgers on, it's not a hardcore interview. It's very comfortable, and Aaron talks about, his dumb worldview, and then McAfee makes fun of him a little bit, but there's no pushback. Aaron Rodgers has spent his entire career as this arrogant a-hole in Green Bay. Oh, that's right. He's had to stare down the intimidating media of Green Bay, Wisconsin for the last 15 years of his life. Oh, sure. Sometimes they send up some hotshot from Milwaukee who's going to ask the hard question. Aaron Rodgers has been coddled. Let's get him in front of the New York Jets media. Let's let Aaron Rodgers have a couple of years where he's got to answer to the New York Times, the New York Daily News, all of that shit. Let's make sure that every place he goes in Manhattan is scrutinized by Page Six, because that's not something that exists in Green Bay. He's been very, very incubated, and he's an a-hole. So, man, oh, man, I hope he goes to New York. I hope to God he goes to the New York Jets, and I hope they just carve him up, and he's like, but I'm Aaron Rodgers. You can't talk to me. New York media will destroy that fragile little snowflake. And that's exactly what he is. He's a total snowflake. Non-alcoholic beer. Non-alcoholic beer is trending. Why? I don't know if you saw this story going around. They're saying it's a good workout drink. Sodium levels and stuff like that, I guess. But, people, man, I give them a pump on. And then it's like, Gatorade. Glug, glug, glug. Now they're saying, no, actually, non-alcoholic beer. After you work out, if you really want to replenish and all that, non-alcoholic beer is pretty good. For many people who run, cycle, or work out often, beer drinking and exercising are almost inextricably entwined. But for performance, recovery, and health, non-alcoholic beer is likely to be a much better choice and can even be as good or better than most sports drinks. Research shows that fit, active people can imbibe plentiful amounts of alcohol. A 2022 study aptly titled Fit and Tipsy determined that men and women with relatively high aerobic fitness were more than twice as likely to be moderate or heavy drinkers as those who were in shape. Now, there are many reasons for this swigging. Exercise enjoys a health halo, justifying for some insalubrious. Oh, y'all ready to learn a new word today? Huh? Look, I like words. I don't think I've ever seen this word before. Insalubrious. I'm going to have to look that up. Time out on the show. We're all going to learn a new word. And then I want each and every one of you to go out today and somehow try and shoehorn insalubrious into a conversation with somebody. There it is. Look at that. Pops up like right away. Insalubrious means it means not salubrious. Okay. All right. That doesn't help me. All right, so now let's look at what salubrious means. Some of you smart people in the chat room are probably like, "You're so dumb. I use salubrious every day." Salubrious, health giving, healthy, salubrious. You look, there you go. That's how we use it. Man, look at you. You're looking quite salubrious. Or if it's the other way, oh man, you know what? You need to start working out. You're looking insalubrious. There we go, folks. Let's do that. Get out there, go out there and use that word today at some point, salubrious. Anyway, I don't care about the story anymore. It's good for you. That's what they're saying. They're saying that the fact that there's no alcohol in it, that the alcohol is the bad thing because it dries you out and all that kind of stuff. But the non-alcoholic beer that doesn't have the alcohol in it, just all the other shit that's in there is actually really good for you. So if you work out, maybe next time instead of grabbing a G2 or whatever, grab yourself a regular non-alcoholic beer. And you should work out because you wouldn't want to be insalubrious. I like that word, insalubrious. Hey, you guys. Okay, so if you come back for the Pillow Talk show with me and Parker, I'm going to drop either salubrious or insalubrious into the conversation at some point. Because I know Parker's not watching the show. He does stupid stuff. He's probably writing a song or something. So we're going to do that. So if you want to tune back in, you want to come back for the 9:00 show where it's me and Parker, just be on the lookout for me when I drop salubrious right in there. What else do we have here? Okay. So we got a death to report. And I saw this trending yesterday. I didn't know the name. Who? What? I don't know who that is. So I click on it because it was trending and a lot of people were talking about it. And I'm like, and then suddenly I didn't even have to look up who the name was because people were posting pictures. And I'm like, no. Oh my God. James at 15 has died. Lance Kerwin, ladies and gentlemen. Lance Kerwin. He was a child teen actor in the 1970s. He had a show that was on NBC called James at 15. And it was on, I was like 7 years old when this, I think it started in 76, 77, something like that. It ran for 2 seasons. The first season was James at 15. And the second season was James at 16. See how they were doing it. And it was the story of a 15-year-old boy. It was a weekly 1-hour television drama. It was a story of a 15-year-old boy who moves from, I don't know, I want to say like Portland, Oregon or something like that to Boston, Massachusetts. And it's just about, the coming of age kind of show. James trying to fit in with this new... there's a part of me that's to go, I love that show. But I watched that show when I was little. I watched it. And I was like I said, 8 years old, and this was about a 15-year-old. So I think I was maybe intrigued as to, what 15-year-olds were getting into when I was 8. I don't remember all that much about it. I don't even remember if it was good. I just, my entire life, I've never forgotten that show. Like I make reference to it all the time. Like if I feel like it's a pop culture reference that you have to reach back into the bag, but you throw it out there. But it is a show that I have referenced over the years, and it's just it's weird. Lance Kerwin was his name. He was an actor. He did a whole bunch of things. James at 15 was a very important show, and it wasn't really recognized as being an important show until decades later. It was very ahead of its time. NBC loved it and the critics loved it, but it could not find a big enough audience. And NBC let it, straggle along for 2 years. And then finally they just went, Dad, you know what? People want Super Train. People want a 1-hour show where a bunch of rich people get on a train that goes 500 miles an hour. That's the kind of shit TV was doing back then. It was thoughtful. It was smart. It dealt with like things that they weren't really dealing with back then. Like for instance, I remember an episode of James at 15 where he lost his virginity. They're depicting a 15-year-old losing his virginity on American network television in 1977. Also, fun fact about it, it's one of the reasons why the creator of the show walked out, which is another reason why the show was canceled after its second year. When James lost his virginity, and this was when it was James at 16. It had moved from James at 15 to James at 16. When James lost his virginity, the creator of the show had to have all kinds of negotiations with the network, because the network was like, well, you don't like this. Teenagers don't have sex. You know, it was that whole thing. And so the deal that was struck was that this plot line could occur in the episode. But James had to feel immense guilt about losing his virginity. That's what the network demanded. The network demanded that, fine, he can have the sex, but then there has to be at least 10 minutes of him being really regretful and wishing that he had never done it. And the creator of the show was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're not, that's probably not how he would feel. He might have some conflicted feelings and it would be very complicated for him, but we're not going to just outwardly portray him as having regretted having his first sexual experience, because that's what people in high school do. So he walked out of it. Kevin Williamson, the creator of Dawson's Creek, Kevin Williamson was a massive James at 15 fan, and he created Dawson's Creek because of James at 15. That was his pitch when he sat down. And this was 20 years later? So, you see how ahead of its time. Do I have this note here? Yeah, Kevin Williamson, the creator of Dawson's Creek, cited James at 15 as a major influence on him and named it as an inspiration and moral center of Dawson's Creek. Williamson said, Dawson's Creek came out of my desire to do James at 15 for the 90s. It was very provocative and way ahead of its time. The Beastie Boys referred to the show in their song, Hey Ladies, with the line, I'm not James at 15 or Chachi in charge, from the album Paul's Boutique. Anyway, Lance Kerwin died. Lance Kerwin was the star of James at 15. He was also in a number of other movies. He was in The Boy Who Drank Too Much. You ever see that movie? Oh man, we had such ham-fisted moral fables growing up in the 1970s. The Boy Who Drank Too Much was like a hockey movie, and it was about a boy who drank too much. And I remember he was out there on the skates and he's fighting with his dad. Here, let me show you Lance Kerwin. Let's give him a little bit of love here. He went on to do absolutely nothing else, but for a period of time in the 1970s, he was a very, very recognizable young movie actor or TV actor. Oh my God, he looks a little soft here, but yeah, this is him. This is him as James from James at 15. There's James. There's James at 50. What's with the flower? What's with the flower and I don't know what that's all about. Lance Kerwin, who became a teen heartthrob and the titular star of the coming-of-age drama series James at 16, or James at 15, died. He was 62 years old. In a Facebook post, his daughter Savannah Kerwin wrote, I am so sorry to those we have not been able to reach out to personally to notify, but Lance Kerwin passed away yesterday morning. We appreciate all the kind words, memories, and prayers that have been shared as the coming weeks progress. I will share more information after his life ceremonies. She went on to assure his fans and friends, he loved each and every one of you. Kerwin was born in 1960 in California, growing up in Lake Elsinore. His dad was an acting coach and his mom was a performer and an agent. Kerwin made his TV debut in 1974 episode of Emergency and quickly became a staple in the medium of television, both guesting on shows and appearing in TV movies. After showing up on such series as Shazam, Little House on the Prairie, Cannon, and Gunsmoke, he was cast as a regular on the period drama The Family Holbach, starring heavy hitters Glenn Ford and Julie Harris. His work on several ABC after-school specials, that's where we would know him from. His work on several ABC after-school specials, and as the star of... remember the Michael Landon movie where he wet the bed? The Loneliest Runner? That was him. That was Lance Kerwin. Okay, Michael Landon. Okay, so half the people in the chat room are like, I don't even know who Michael Landon is. Little House on the Prairie. Michael Landon. He was a big actor. But he made a movie about his life and he directed it. And this was like in the 1970s. This was like a TV movie. And it was called The Loneliest Runner. And it was about how he had a bedwetting problem as a kid, and that his mom used to like his. So here's the premise of The Loneliest Runner. Michael Landon's mom was so angry at him for being a bedwetter, like well into high school, that she used to take his pea-stained sheets and she would hang them out the windows of the house so that everyone could see that there's a bedwetter in that house. And Michael Landon, and this is kind of the point in the movie, The Loneliest Runner, Michael Landon decided that he would run home from school instead of taking the bus because he could run home quicker. And he would run home from school in order to get there and pull those sheets down before the school bus with all of his friends came by. You all remember The Loneliest Runner. I'm sure you do. But he was in Salem's Lot. What is that? Oh, he's also featured in a number of Battle of the Network Stars. If you like those and you want to watch those on YouTube, I remember him on those too. But I remember, are they going to talk about The Boy Who Drank Too Much? Yes, here we go. Good. Kerwin continued to work steadily in the 1980s, including in topical TV movies, The Boy Who Drank Too Much with Scott Baio. In the feature film Enemy Mine, he was in that in 1985. And then he was on a number of episodes of Simon and Murder, She Wrote. And then he stopped acting in like the mid 80s or late 80s. But there you go. The Boy Who Drank Too Much was just about a teenager who was an alcoholic. And if I remember correctly, he fought his dad. He's like, I'm going to fight you, Dad. Although there was another movie like that. Do you guys remember that other 1970s movie with cautionary tales that were designed to scare the shit out of all of us kids? What was the one with Robbie Benson where he like took a hit of the pot and then slaughtered his family? Do you remember that one? That one was like Robbie Benson. I'm going to smoke weed. He takes like a hit of weed and he's like, I'm going to kill my dad and mom. And it was like crazy. What was that called? What was that Robbie Benson movie called? Wouldn't that be a fun film festival to have? Like just rent out like one of these theaters. You know, people do these film festivals. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great for like, oh man, actually, I do think this is a pretty good idea. What if we could get a hold of all the ABC after school specials from the 70s and 80s and just put them in a movie theater on Friday night at midnight and just let everybody bring in beer and stuff? And just, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. Although it probably wouldn't work because any of us that would want to go to that, we're all 50, right? When we don't want to, we're like, well, I don't want to go do that. That's got to be something for 30 years old, 30s, 20s, that kind of thing. Pam Anderson is trending. Pam Anderson is trending today because she's, Pam Anderson apparently got this new book where she's talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Remember last week, it was the story that Tim Anderson on Home Improvement whipped his wee out and was like, hey, look at this. So that was the story from last week. And the story from this week about Pam Anderson is that apparently back in like the early 90s, Sylvester Stallone offered to like pay her millions of dollars a year just to be his little sex partner, just to be someone that he could call whenever he wanted to have the sex with. Which, I mean, remembering Pamela Anderson in that era and remembering who Sylvester Stallone was, I could see it. I mean, I could see why Sylvester Stallone was like, hey, maybe I just keep her on sex retainer, something like that. Yeah, she turned him down. She said no. But anyway, there you go. She's telling that story now. Sylvester Stallone wanted to keep Pamela Anderson on sex retainer. Okay. George Santos is trending again. It wouldn't be a day without George Santos trending, right? He's trending now because apparently he gave a podcast interview to a Brazilian podcaster. I don't even know when this was. But a whole bunch of lies from that, too. And now the media here has the tapes, and they're playing the tapes, and it's just Joel Spinning George, old George Santos, just telling more lies. Santos told a Brazilian podcast. Let me start that again. Santos told a Brazilian podcast that he, one, had been the target of an assassination attempt. Not true. Two, had been mugged in broad daylight on Fifth Avenue. Not true. And three, was so rich that he'd be donating his entire congressional salary to the poor. He's not. He's not doing that either. Let's see. And also, he falsely claimed that New York City schools, this is what he claimed New York City schools put on 300 drag shows a day, and that 20,000 New York women had received on demand abortions in their third trimester in the calendar year 2021. So he's just, God, there's a part of me that just admires him. There's a part that you gotta, shameless to be sure, but he's got game. He's a piece of shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want to hang out with him, but man, he has no shame. He just has no, he doesn't care. He's going to say shit. They're just going to record it. It's going to be there forever. And he's just going to move on. Congratulations, people of New York, whatever, the New York 11th, whatever he is. Congratulations to people of New York. He's yours. And you're going to have to sit with him. Unless the election crimes that he's now being accused of get him removed. That's one way around it. That's what, because look, I think I've been pretty solid on this from the very beginning. He should resign. No, he shouldn't. No, he shouldn't. You know who should resign? You know who should resign from voting? The people who voted for him. He got up, he told a bunch of lies, the dummies went, and then they voted for him. They got what they fell for the lie. Be better. Do more due diligence. Push back on things. Don't just vote for people because he's endorsed by the wing of the political party that you like, right? And he was pushed by a very specific brand of Republican politics. So they just didn't. They were like, well, if he says he's good, then he's good. And you people are stuck with him now. You can't just go, but he lied on the campaign trail. Oh, you want to open up that bag of worms? Bag of worms. Is that a thing? Bag of worms? Box of worms? What is the phrase I'm looking for? What a bag of worms. We're going with bag of worms. You want to open up that bag of worms? Oh, because no other politician has ever lied on the campaign trail. So now what? Every politician that you can prove told a lie while campaigning, he now has to step down from Congress. Nope, that ain't gonna happen. So guess what, people? You're stuck with him. However, there are some legal issues that he may have run afoul of. That's a different story. They can get him out for that. But not just because he lied to us. Yeah, because you're stupid. Because you people are stupid. Because we always just vote stupidly. And then like to blame the other guy for the way they voted. Hate that. But I am enjoying the George Santos show, right? This is pretty fun. We needed the silly little distraction, and he's giving it to us. What else is trending here? Succession is trending. Oh, Succession. Succession, my HBO show. I love Succession. Succession is so good. Can we watch the trailer for the new season of Succession? Yeah, we're going to watch the trailer. I don't care. Go away then. Fine. I don't need you. I am very excited about the new season of Succession. HBO dropped the trailer for the new third season, fourth season. I don't even know where we are. It is so good. Succession is basic story of, just look at it this way. This is Rupert Murdoch's family. There you go. It's the story of a guy who owns a Fox News like network as well as a whole bunch of other things around the world. He is a billionaire mogul, and he's very controversial, and people don't like it. Very Rupert Murdoch. Everything you think about Rupert Murdoch, think about the character in Succession, and it's about his kids. It's about his kids. And it just so happens that the characters in Succession have the same kind of kids that Rupert Murdoch has. 2 boys and a girl. And who's going to take over when the old man dies? Thus the title Succession. It's just so good though. It is quickly. Now I've been saying I need to see one more season. I need to see one more season. And then maybe we can start having the conversation about Succession being the best show in HBO history. Yeah. And that includes Sopranos. That includes Game of Thrones. I already think it's better than Game of Thrones. I don't think it's better than Sopranos yet. But anyway, here's the trailer for the new season of Succession. And when we left, the last season ended, the family ain't talking. The family is at war with each other. their dad. Oh, man, I can't believe I gotta wait until March. Here's what that means for me. Oh, wait, did that not share? Did that not share? Did I do that wrong? Oh, we just listened to my bad. I screwed up. Anyway, you heard the audio there of Succession. I love that show so much. I love. Here's the problem though. So the new season is coming. The new season is coming in March, which means I'm not going to be able to watch it until May because I refuse to watch episodic television. I'm not going to, I have to at least let 4 weeks of Succession episodes go by so that I can at least jump in with 4 episodes. Because I will not be one of these stooges who watches a 1 hour episode and then is left hanging with the cliffhanger. And I go, oh, now I got to wait 7 days to see what happens. No, I don't play that game anymore. It's 2023. You spoiled me with the ability to binge entire series. I just am not. So it comes out on March. That means I'll probably start watching it in mid-April, maybe let 4 episodes build up, something like that. Oh, it's so good. All right, we got another one here. This is going to be the last one we're going to do for the day because I enjoy this. And it really has nothing to do with the reason that this is trending. But I want to, while looking at this, here, let's put this up. So the most popular grocery stores in America are listed by state. And this is very interesting to me. Oh, excuse me, more burps. Sorry, I'm just not good. All right, so let's see this here. Let's see if we can get we got a big. All right, there we go. All right, so these are the most popular grocery stores by state, okay? First of all, as someone from Illinois, I love that like Jewel Osco just dominates the state of Illinois and nothing else. Just Jewel Osco. It truly is unique. Jewel Osco is a truly unique shopping experience. I love Jewel. Love Jewel. Going to the Jewels. I gotta run down to the Jewels. I gotta get some beef. But here, HEB is in Dallas. I don't, is HEB in Kroger? Isn't Kroger like, doesn't everybody go to Kroger here in Dallas? Albertsons, you see, has all of the nothing states, bunch of nothing. Trader Joe's dominates California. Trader Joe's, isn't that expensive? And what about Ralph's? I thought Ralph's was the big one. Piggly Wiggly is only up here in Wisconsin. Aldi makes a lot of sense. Aldi is the number one store in Oklahoma. Checks out. And then a whole bunch of other ones. Like you got the Food Lions over there in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia area. I've been to those. You got Giants there in the Mid-Atlantic region. What is this right here? I don't know what that is. Trader Joe's again up in Maine. All right, that's not the reason for this. Oh, by the way, what's Hawaii? Foodland. Foodland. All right. Foodland, and then Alaska is Fred Meyer. Not to be confused with Meyer, but Fred Meyer is a different one. Here's why. Here's the whole reason I'm doing this. Because I'm looking at this map of the United States. And I think I know my geography. I think I'm pretty good at geography. I don't know how well you can see it. Let me see how big it is. But I was looking at it and I was trying to name off the states. And here's what I realized. On the East Coast, I know where New York and Boston is. I know where New York and Massachusetts is. Massachusetts is above and New York is below. And in between, you have Connecticut. And so I've got that. I understand the whole Florida, Georgia, South Carolina thing, right? So I understand that area. I understand Texas and our border states. I understand that. I understand the upper Midwest. I understand, I could pick out Wisconsin on a map, Michigan, Iowa, Minnesota, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, uh, uh, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma. So I can do all of those. What is this? What is this? Is this New Mexico? Does New Mexico border up against? I have no idea what this is. Then what is this? Is this Arizona? Is it? I have no. This whole area, man. Like, like this is either Montana or Wyoming. I have no idea which is on top. I know that they're both there. One is Montana. Over here, I know one of these is Washington and one of them is Oregon. I don't know in what order, though. I'm not sure which one's on top. I'd have to really think about that. There's just I know Idaho. We know Idaho because I love potatoes, and on every bag of potatoes, there's the outline of the shape of Idaho. So that's the only reason that I know Idaho. I know this is Nevada because I know that you can drive from Los Angeles to Las Vegas in relatively short time, and I know that they share a border. I don't know what this is. We're Sprouts. What is this, Colorado? I have no idea. All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm an idiot. I just wanted to point out that at my advanced age, I still can't look at a map of the United States and accurately point to where every state should be. That's me. That's who I am. Who are you? All right, that's all we got. That's pretty much it for today. Everything that when I end the show talking about how stupid I am when it comes to being able to label properly the states here of the United States, we've pretty much run out of, why is Spotify trending? Do we have a new one? Is Spotify down? Is Spotify down? Oh, wait. Spotify, they say it's down, but let's see. Oh, piss off. Piss off. Spotify ain't down. Spotify's working fine. What if everything was down except John Hinckley's catalog of music? That's what we're listening to here. The John Hinckley album. Trying to see if there's anything else. Nah, that's about it. Please, if you can, help tip the show. Help keep us going. We need a couple weeks worth of donations. Consider this the pledge drive. Got no tote bags for you. You don't want a tote bag anyway. It would just sit in the back seat of your car. It would slide under the seat. You don't want a tote bag. I don't have anything for you other than these two streams that I do each and every day. The High Noon stream, which you've just been listening to Monday through Friday at noon. And then Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Central Time, myself and James Parker for Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. You can drop into the Venmo. You can drop into the Cash App. Appreciate anything that you can do. Thank you to all the people that have helped. If you can't help, that's fine. Still love you. You're still my friends. You're still my people. I need you to share the show then. When you see it, when you see the thing coming around early in the morning or in the late afternoon morning or whatever it is, when you see the promotion for this show, or the Pillow Talk show, just forward it, please. Look, I don't even need you to go, I like this show and you should too. You don't have to. Some of you do. Some of you are really nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. But just spread it. Trying to grow the show. Grow the show. If we can do that, then we won't find ourselves in these situations where I need to rely on the kindness of strangers to keep it going. None of you are strangers. You are all my people. Venmo, Cash App, those apps are... The addresses for those apps are right there at the bottom of the screen. Tonight at 9 o'clock, me and Parker will be back. I don't know what we're going to do today. I'd like to tell you we're going to watch racist cartoons, but I don't know if we're ever going to get to that. Maybe. James Parker really wants to do the racist cartoons, and I really think that I'm going to wait for him to no-show. The day that he no-shows, we'll just sit and watch racist cartoons and talk about how great it is and how James is missing out. We can do that. I'm not petty, but I am vengeful. All right, that's it. I love you guys. We will talk later tonight, 9 o'clock. I hope you can come by. I am Pugs Moran. This has been High Noon on the Radio Misfits podcast platform.